Hello everybody, welcome to Ian's Bricks. My name is Ian and today I'm going to be talking about Lego investing and the different Lego themes that you can invest in. There are a lot of Lego themes out there, so I'm going to talk through some of the different themes that are available, why I invest in some of them and why I don't invest in the others, and also at the end of the video I will go through my personal top 5 of what I think are the best Lego sets and the best Lego themes to invest in. Okay, so I want to start off by talking about the actual Lego themes and sets that are available from Lego themselves. So at the moment, Lego have got listed 42 different themes that you can buy from them at the moment, and they range from everything from architecture through to obviously city. You've got Harry Potter, Star Wars, Speed Champions, all the way down to Lego Extra, which are those little poly bags full of miniature sort of parts and things that you can get. So in total, I had a look on the Lego website, and at the moment they have a total of 1,268 products listed on the UK site, and that's everything from tiny little key rings up to the massive sets like the Titanic. So that's a lot of sets to potentially buy for Lego, and of those 1,268 there are around about 350 sets that are potentially going to be retiring at the end of 2023. So that's a lot of sets potentially that you could be investing in Lego. If you like myself, you're a Lego investor and you like to buy Lego, keep it for a short while and then sell it on in the future for a little bit of profit. Now, so first of all, there's so many Lego sets out there, and it depends on the scale of a Lego investor that you actually are. Now, I would consider myself still relatively a smallish Lego investor. I'm not one of these people that buy hundreds of sets of everything. I certainly don't have any sort of links with sending stuff off to Amazon and Amazon selling on my behalf. That's not the kind of Lego investing that I want to do. You've probably seen from some of my videos, I tend to buy most of my sets from Amazon and Lego and a few other retailers as well. I try and get gifts with purchase and special deals as and when I can, and what I tend to do is I sell my sets at brick festivals, which I'm very, very lucky to have them in the UK. I think they're a great sort of point of sale for me. I like doing that. I tend not to sell my sets online or on eBay, things like that. I've done that kind of thing in the past, but I find the whole post and packing thing a bit of a pain. So that's how I sell, and I'm aware that a lot of people do use things like eBay, Facebook Marketplace and other things as well to sell their Lego. So maybe my sort of idea of what is a good set or theme to invest in may not be yours, but I'll sort of go through a few of the different themes and sort of give my ideas of why I think some are better than others, and try and sort of explain as to why, and obviously, having been selling Lego for a few years now at some of these brick festivals, I sort of get a feel for what sets do well and what sets don't do well. So hopefully that'll help as well. First of all, then, I want to talk about some of the Lego themes that I personally like to invest in and give you some short reasons as to why I do it. So there's a lot of different themes. I'm not going to cover every single one, but I'm going to go through these sort of in alpha order. So first of all is architecture. Now, architecture, I do find their sets do quite well after they retire. At the moment, they're not actually releasing that many different themes, Lego architecture, but certainly from time to time, some of the city skylines I quite liked, and there's a few sort of sets out there at the moment that I do quite like, but it's quite a slow moving theme at the moment, not a lot happening with that, but I do like to keep my eye out for Lego architecture sets. I sold some recently at my latest brick festival, and I got them at a good price, and they sold for pretty much double the price that I bought them for, so they were pretty good. Lego brickheads, I buy a lot of Lego brickheads. Me personally, I like them for a number of reasons. They're relatively, well, they're collectible for a start. People do like them. I know a lot of people don't like brickheads. I don't mind them. I quite like them. They also have lots of popular themes as well. So within the brickheads genre, you obviously get Star Wars and Harry Potter and things like that as well. So you get different styles of brickheads, but also they generally have a very short shelf life. The downside, of course, with BrickHeadz is that they really are only available from Lego.com. Occasionally you'll get one or two sets that will cross over into the mainstream and are available from other retailers, but 95% of the time, I would say, is most BrickHeadz are only available from Lego.com. But yeah, they're generally exclusive, they're collectible, short shelf life, so they're normally a good bet in my opinion. Lego City is something that I've always liked to buy, even though sometimes people say, oh, it's maybe not the best. It's obviously aimed more towards sort of children, but I think there's a lot of adult collectors out there as well. Certain sort of sets, maybe like a decent hospital or a railway station, or sort of unusual sets as well. Occasionally they'll come out with some decent ones. There's a lot of city stuff that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, things like Lego Stunts. Think it's generally not very good, apart from the little bathtub set that you can buy. So there are sort of things within that theme that I wouldn't buy, but there's always sort of one or two nice little sets that I like. And I think for me, because that's how I grow up, is buying Lego Town and Lego City, I've still sort of got a slight sort of desire to want to buy those sets, because I do quite like some of the sets that they do. Creator Expert and Lego Icons, as they're now called, these sets are always very good and very popular. They tend to be larger sets, but not all of the time. Things like modular buildings, things like that, they've been very, very successful. Again, not all sets will be successful all the time, but for me that particular theme is always a good place to go. There's some really, really decent sets in there. Again, one or two I'm sort of not that fussed about. Some of the larger vehicles, they tend not to be that popular, I don't think. They take quite a while to sort of appreciate in value once they've retired, but still a very good theme overall. Harry Potter for me is a very, very good theme. I think there are some interesting builds in there. Again, you have to be careful not to buy things that maybe aren't going to be quite as popular, but generally Harry Potter is quite a well-known theme. They do some decent sets in there. Yes, they do remake a lot of sets as well, so be careful about that. Obviously, we had the Hogwarts Express. They retired this sort of King's Cross version and then did a Hogsmeade version, as well as obviously the Ultimate Collector's version as well. So they will do different versions of the same set, so be wary about that as well for all different themes. Lego Ideas, I love Lego Ideas because it's so diverse. Some of the things that you can get in there, you can get things from like a thing with birds, or there was the Tron set, or you can get like Winnie the Pooh, and so there's such a wide variety of different themes and different genres you can get. Again, you can get some duds in there. Things like the Adventure Time set, for example, wasn't particularly popular. I did buy one of those, but I did sell it off quite recently. But generally, the idea sets are generally quite good. Varying in size as well. You can get some sort of smallish ones, 20 to 30 pound sets. In the past you were able to anyway, and some larger sets as well. I think they're going more towards the larger sets these days, but certainly I think there's always some decent sets within Lego Ideas. And again, generally their shelf lives generally tend to be a little bit lower than some other themes as well. So you can have some that are really only on the shelves for a year and a half. So some good themes in there. Again, there are some bigger sets to avoid. I think the table football, that was a Lego Idea set. That was pretty awful from the start. So just be wary that there are some duds in there as well. So we talked about Lego Icons. Minifigures are always going to be popular. Short shelf life. I personally don't collect too many minifigures. I did buy a few of the recent Muppets series that was available. But again, they've done a lot of different themes over the years, Lego. I think the general minifigures, they're sort of almost exhausted all the good ideas now, but occasionally when they do something like the Disney 100 or the Muppets, there are some decent themes out there. So I will occasionally buy those kind of sets as well. You also have Monkey Kid. So Monkey Kid's a bit of a weird one. It's quite hard to get hold of. I think in the UK you can only buy Monkey Kid sets from Lego.com. Some of the smaller, medium to smaller sets I'm not particularly fond of. There's a lot of sort of mech builds and things like that, not really my cup of tea. But some of the larger sets are really, really nice. There's a few that I've been buying. So I don't buy too many of these, but I think because even though they're more aimed at the sort of children's market, I think again there are going to be adult collectors out there that are probably more especially for the larger sets, that are willing to sort of pay a higher price for some of the larger sets, which are probably quite difficult to get hold of for some people. But yeah, it's something that I wouldn't invest in too heavily, but every now and again I keep my eye out for Monkey Kid sets. One theme that I do buy a lot of now is Speed Champions. I was a little slow to the party on Speed Champions. When they first came out I wasn't that fussed with them, but I think particularly since they've started doing the 8 wide vehicles, I think they look so much better than the L6 wide vehicles. They can do so much more with them. My personal experience is that generally Speed Champions won't be on the shelves too long, although they seem to be extending them a little bit more recently. But there's some very, very good sets. I bought some of the older, the first sort of wave of 8 wide cars. There was an Audi, and there was a Ferrari in there as well, and I literally only had them for about a year and a half, and they were selling at more than double the price. So for me they've been very, very good, and as I say, I do sell these at sort of brick festivals. So again, they may be the kind of things that that just collectors like to buy. Again, more adults are probably more likely to buy things like cars and things like that in parts of collections. So again, that's why it probably appeals and does better for a Lego investor, because there are probably more adults out there that like these kind of themes. And I think the final one to talk about, I think everybody already knows this, but it's Star Wars. Star Wars Lego, it normally does very, very well. There aren't many sets that don't do very, very well. They do re-release a lot of sets, so there are so many, for example, X-Wings out there, they do different sizes, and Millennium Falcons and things, so just be aware of that. But there are so many spin-offs now with Lego, like the Disney Plus TV series like The Mandalorian and other ones as well. And they keep doing these ships and these vehicles and things with exclusive minifigures. Star Wars is always going to have such a huge following with children and adults. Probably more adults like it than children. And even though a lot of the sets are aimed at the sort of the play market, there are also other things out there like the dioramas, which are aimed at adults, and maybe the helmet series. They've been incredibly popular and done incredibly well. Yeah, a lot of sort of Star Wars stuff is very, very popular. You can see why. And I just think it's just, if you are Lego investing, even if you don't know too much about Lego Star Wars or Star Wars in general, it's always a very, very good place to start, because do a little bit of research, of course, before you start buying things. But yeah, a lot of things in Star Wars are just popular, and there can be something like I think the Mandalorian TV show, and things were some of the older sets like the Mandalorian Forge that came up in a recent episode. I don't watch it, so I don't know much about it myself. But yeah, apparently the Forge sets retired at the end of last year, and then during the spring they just shot up in value because it suddenly started to appear again on TV. So you've always got that chance with Lego Star Wars that there's suddenly going to be a big rush, a big surge of popularity to make the sets that you've probably bought in the past sort of go up in value. Next, I wanted to talk about some of the themes that I do occasionally invest in, but not very often. And again, probably because there are so many themes that I do like to invest in, what I don't want to do is sort of overload myself with loads and loads of different themes. I quite like it when I go to my brick festivals that I sort of have a little area for Harry Potter, a little area for Star Wars, bit of city, bit of this, bit of that. So I like to sort of keep my sort of table all sort of similar themes. So these particular themes are still generally can be quite good, but I will generally not invest in them that much just because I don't want to be investing in too many themes. Again, that's just my personal choice. If you're selling on things like Lego eBay or Marketplace, then it doesn't really matter what themes you invest in, because obviously you can, it doesn't matter whether you're selling say like a Batman set and a DC set, because whoever's buying them won't care whether you sell Star Wars as well and all these other themes as well. So for me personally, I just don't buy too many of these. So I'll quickly go through this. This is Lego Batman, some good sets in there, but again, they're probably not as popular as some of the bigger themes. And again, they tend to sort of do a lot of similar sets and themes as well. I think a lot of the Batman sets can be aimed at sort of younger children as well. So a lot of them don't really appeal to me. I'm not a huge superhero fan myself, which probably makes me distance myself from these kind of themes as well. Lego Creator 3-in-1, some really nice sets in Creator 3-in-1, in 3-in-1, but they tend not to be that popular after they retire. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Like last year they did the crocodile, I think, and they did the fish tank. Both really nice sets, and I think are fairly exclusive. And some of the new sets have come out there. They've done the cute dogs, which I really like. That's a nice set. But again, they do a lot of these creator 3-in-1s. Sometimes the second and third builds in these 3-in-1 builds aren't particularly wonderful. The first build always looks good, but again, there's a lot of different themes, and I just think that maybe saturation by Lego, really, in the fact that yeah, you can still get one or two nice sets on here, and they probably will do okay after they retire, but you're probably waiting a little bit longer before you can sort of make decent profits on things like that. Some of the DC, a bit like Batman, some of the DC sets I just tend to avoid because I'm not a huge superhero fan, and some of the sets just don't really appeal to me, so I just sort of avoid them. I mean, unless something came in that was sort of really, for whatever reason, popular, and it was very heavily discounted, I might go for it, but generally I won't bother with DC. Disney sets as well. I mean, obviously apart from Brickheads aside, some of the sort of Disney princess range, really not my cup of tea. I have bought some Disney sets in the past. There was Bruni the Salamander, I think, from Frozen, and I think I bought the Madrigal House from Disney, I think, this year as well, but only bought a couple of those. So I will occasionally buy some Disney sets. Again, a lot of these Disney sets, some of them have got these mini dolls, which I really don't like mini dolls. Yeah, so I just tend to avoid them. And again, it's not really my market I want to go for. A lot of the Disney sets are aimed at younger children, and although there is always a market for adults buying their kids presents and things like that for Christmas and birthdays, I just tend to find that I don't want to sort of over-hoard myself with too many of these sort of what I consider sort of children's sets, as opposed to ones that you sort of know might do better, like these sets that are themed at adults rather than children. Another one here is sort of Jurassic World. Again, some decent sets in there. I have bought some Jurassic Park and Jurassic World sets in the past, but they do a lot of these sets, and there's some decent, sets and builds in there. They have some exclusive dinosaurs quite a lot of the time in these sets. They tend to be quite expensive though because of that, because they have larger parts. But for me, I think unless anything particularly that catches my eye, I do tend to avoid Jurassic World. But again, it's generally quite a good theme. It could be quite good. I think there's definitely a market out there for that. But again, maybe not as lucrative as something like Harry Potter or maybe Star Wars. Lego art sets. I mean, you can see I've got some Lego art on my wall, the spaceman up there. I do like a lot of Lego art. Some of it's really good, but I'm still on the fence really for Lego Invest. It's still a relatively new theme. Some of the older sets which have retired have done okay, not brilliantly, again, it just sort of depends on the set really. I think a lot of them haven't been as popular as maybe people had hoped, and also they're quite big and quite expensive to start with. So I think for me it's something that I don't really bother too much about, but if it's something I like or it's very well priced, then I will potentially buy something like that. We also have things like Lord of the Rings. Again, there's been some Brickheads recently and a few Lord of the Rings sets. Nothing really worth investing in at the moment, just because nothing's on the retirement list. But again, this is potentially something I would invest in because it is quite a well-known theme. And we also have Marvel as well, similar to DC and Batman. There are some good Marvel sets out there. Last year I bought quite a lot of the Carnage helmets, and I think they're actually going to do quite well. But generally, a lot of the Marvel sets I don't bother with. I think they're aimed generally at a younger market, certainly not as popular as Star Wars, again, they do a lot of the same sets and same things, similar kind of builds and things like that. I just don't think they're quite as popular, but again, it's still not too bad, but it's maybe just not the most lucrative theme to invest in. And Spider-Man as well, similar theme really with Spider-Man is, again, one or two good sets out there, but generally don't do superheroes, not really a fan of them, so I just tend to avoid them myself. And another one is Lego Technic. Now Lego Technic, they do some amazing sets in Lego Technic, but they just, in my opinion, just don't seem to do that well once they retire. I think because, again, they do a lot of vehicles and things like that, and there's a fairly limited market with Technic. It is more of an adult market, but I just don't think there's generally the sort of the appeal and sort of, I don't know, people just don't seem to talk about Technic too much. And I think things will increase in value. If you were to buy something, it would actually do okay. But again, it's not going to do fantastic. It might take a while. And again, because they sort of produce similar things, yeah, it's just a theme that I don't really probably know much about, which is probably why I don't buy. I have bought some Technic sets in the past, but I generally avoid it just because it's something that doesn't particularly appeal to me. And this is another thing with Lego investing as well. I think it's important, yeah, you are going to buy some sets sometimes that maybe you would never buy if you to build for yourself, but I think you've got to have a sort of an affinity with that particular set. Otherwise you're sort of buying things that you don't like, and then if they don't sell, you know, I bought this, and yeah, it could sort of turn into sort of a negative thing. So I think generally what I would try and suggest, if you are investing in Lego, especially if it's sort of small time Lego investing, pick sets that you like as well. It's all right going for the biggest discounts all the time, but if you don't like the set, then probably other people won't like it either, so just be careful about that. So they're all the sets that sort of I sometimes buy in but not all the time. Last lot of things, I'm going to talk about sets that I pretty much never buy. So there's a few themes that I sort of want to lump together within this particular. There's obviously Duplo, Lego Friends, we've got Super Mario, Minecraft, Ninjago, and obviously the ill-fated video. So all of those themes, in my opinion, generally will appeal to the younger audience. Certainly things like Lego Friends and Minecraft, and obviously Duplo's aimed at sort of very, very young. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make money from any of these themes, and if you like these themes, you know, there's nothing wrong with investing in them. However, I certainly think with something like Friends, and certainly now Minecraft as well, Minecraft potentially used to be better than it is now, but I just avoid Minecraft because they just produce so many sets, as do Lego Friends. There are some really good sets in Lego Friends, and sometimes you see these new Lego Friends sets and they look amazing. They're a little bit bright and a little bit too sort of garish for me to sort of want to build in as part of a city, and you have the mini dolls as well, but they just seem to produce an awful lot of these different sets all the time. And I think because those kind of themes appeal to the younger audience, you're not going to get that many adults that are into them. Now, you know, you will occasionally see them heavily reduced, and if you can get them at a good price, that's fine. And if you're selling on things like eBay and that, you could make a little bit of money. But I don't want to fill my stalls when I go to these brick festivals with loads of Lego Friends stuff and loads of Minecraft stuff. I mean, I have been very tempted once every now and again. I'll see something, oh, that's a really good price, I actually quite like that set, but I think no, I want to stay away from these because I just don't want to fill my stall up with sort of Friends and Ninjago and Minecraft and things like that. Lots of different sets that they produce. Some of them are very, very good and very, very popular. I mean, Ninjago for me, I've just never really been a fan of that kind of thing, the genre with mechanoids and things like that. And again, some of the sets are quite nice. I mean, I may end up eating humble pie and probably buying something like the Ninjago City Gardens or the City Markets that they did recently, which actually I really liked, some of the larger sets. But as a general rule of thumb, there aren't sets that I will invest in, just because I think they just appeal to children, and so there's probably going to be less opportunity for them to increase in value, but also I just don't want to start. I'm already invested in quite a lot of different themes, and I don't really want to invest in any more and have a table. You know, if I go to one of my Lego fairs and my table's full of Lego Friends and Minecraft and Ninjago, I just don't think I'm going to get I'm not going to enjoy selling them as much. And also, I think people when they go to these things, yeah, there's always going to be one or two people that want those kind of sets, but for me, I'd rather stick to what I know does better, things like Harry Potter and Star Wars and Speed Champions, that kind of thing. So that's kind of why you'll never see me buying any, if at all, maybe one or the odd one or two sets here and there, but generally I won't even touch any of those themes. And people have actually said as well that Lego Duplo can be quite lucrative as well, but again, it's Lego Duplo, it's really for sort of toddlers and babies. I don't really want to start getting into that. I did have a Lego Duplo set that someone actually bought me years ago. They knew I liked Lego and sort of bought this Duplo set, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, thanks. And it was quite an old set, and I tried to sell it, and I took it to about 3 or 4 brick festivals. It just wasn't selling. and eventually I just lowered the price, put a lower price on it. Eventually I got rid of it. And they're also quite big boxes as well, Duplo, because I think a lot of the parts are quite large. The boxes that they come in tend to be really, really big as well, so they take up a lot of space and things like that, which I haven't really talked about yet. But yeah, some of the themes do come in quite large boxes and can be quite difficult to store and things like that. So that's pretty much talked about most of the Lego themes that are available at the moment. I just wanted to do a quick top 5 at the end, and there's no sort of scientific or monetary, or I've not. This is just purely my sort of what I think, what I like to Lego invest in, and for me as of the sets or the themes that have done best for me since I started doing this. So at number 5, I've got Speed Champions. Some nice sets, especially the 8 wide sets. I think they're really, really nice. They're good. They're quite small sizes as well, so they're easy to store. They do have some exclusives. They generally are very, very popular. Things like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bugattis, they're always very, very popular with collectors. So and they keep producing some really nice looking sets. The ones that they produced this year, really, really like those. They won't be retiring for a while, but certainly most of the Speed Champion sets that are on sale at the moment, I've kind of got my eye on them, and I'll probably be picking up most if not all of the different themes that are available at the moment. Number 4 on my list is Icon Stroke Creator Expert. Obviously they've changed the name of those recently. Things like modular buildings, just some really, really good sets in this particular range. I suppose it includes things like, say, the Titanic as well, which may be something that's too large to invest in. Some of the vehicles I've invested in the past maybe haven't done quite as well as I would have liked, but certainly a lot of the buildings do very, very well. I've had very successful selling some of the old modular buildings at some of these brick festivals. Again, they're larger, more difficult to store, and you've got a bigger spend on a lot of these sort of creator experts and icon sets. But again, Lego just keep doing some fantastic sets. There's some really, really nice sets out there. So have a look at the sets that retire at the end of this year. There are some really, really good ones out there. But for me, I like that particular theme. It's done very, very well for me in the past. Number 3, I've got Lego Ideas. I talked about this earlier, but again, just such a variety of sets in Lego Ideas. As I say, from Winnie the Pooh to I can't even think of some of the sets now, but some really, really nice sets out there. Again, 1 or 2 duds out there. Be careful of some things like Adventure Time and the table football. There's always going to be 1 or 2 which aren't particularly well received. But yeah, generally Lego Ideas, I think just because it is so varied and such interesting builds and generally short shelf lives, I think for me it's been a very, very successful theme selling at my brick festivals. Number 2 is Harry Potter. I think some people might disagree with it. There's some people that actually don't like Harry Potter and don't like collecting Harry Potter sets. I think maybe some of the more recent sort of modular style of green roofed buildings that they've done, I don't think they're possibly going to be as popular as some of the other Harry Potter sets. But I think in general I've had some good success with Harry Potter, certainly with some of the free gifts with purchase that you get if you ever buy some Harry Potter sets. The free gifts with purchase do very, very well if you buy them from Lego.com, which sort of tells me that there's a sort of a good following really for Harry Potter sets. And I know at my last brick festival, I think I took one of the old night buses, and there was I think it was a Hagrid's hut, and also the Hogwarts Express. And I sort of had these all in a pile, and literally this lady came in. She literally picked up 2 of them. I want those 2, and she saw the other one. Like, I'll have the 3rd one as well. So they can go very, very well. It is a very, very popular theme. Don't underestimate the power of Harry Potter still. So that for me has been a very successful theme. But I think number 1, I think you all know what I want to say. My number 1 theme for investing in is, of course, dots. No, I'm only joking. Of course it's Star Wars. Don't ever invest in Lego dots. It's a complete waste of time. Lego Star Wars, it's just so many themes out there, so many different genres. They still remain popular. Yes, they do re-release a lot of sets, things like the X-Wings and things like that, where they do lots of multiples. So be careful of those kind of sets. But again, there's been so many fantastic sort of ships and the minifigures in there, exclusive minifigures. It's such a popular theme. I think it will continue to be the probably number one, in my opinion, theme that you can invest in. And there's a lot of sets out there as well. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just solely invest in Lego Star Wars. There's enough sets out there to do that, especially if you're a relatively small-time Lego investor. So yeah, but so take it all with a pinch of salt. They're just my personal opinions, and obviously I sort of just sell my sets at Lego stalls and brick festivals. So if you are selling on different platforms like online, eBay, things like that, then you might say that, well, actually, you know, yeah, that's right, Star Wars is good, but actually there's some other themes I want to invest in as well. So you don't have to take everything I'm saying as sort of as the Bible. There are other decent sort of themes out there that you can still invest in. But I just wanted to talk about the Lego themes because they're just so many out there, and I think because I have a limited space and limited funds as well to buy Lego, is you just couldn't buy everything. As I said, there were 1,200 Lego sets out there at the moment, over 1,200, and 350 of them are retiring. Is unless you've got a huge warehouse and a big inventory, there's no way in this world that you're going to be buying every single set. And there are always going to be Lego sets that just aren't popular. Things like video and dots, and a lot of these where they do sort of tie-ins as well to apps and things like the Mario. I can see the Mario sets. I mean, I was never that fussed about the Mario sets when they first came out. One or two of them are quite nice. We've got the question mark there, and the video, the one with the TV and the Super Nintendo. Those are really good. But the builder course that they do, I'm avoiding that. I'm not even bothered with those particular sets because I didn't like them to start with. The playability factor for me, and with the app, they've done things with apps before, and they then close the apps down. Things like the hidden side. So be very wary of themes which include sort of app tie-ins and things like that. So I just avoid those because none of them have really ever been that successful for Lego, and I don't really know why Lego still keep trying to do these different things. So yeah, just sort of be wary of themes like that. But yeah, you hopefully have got some idea of things that I like to invest in, some of the different themes. You might agree with me on some of them, you might not on some of them, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just me rambling on for a while. I hope I've not bored you too much. I do appreciate you watching. It is very kind that everybody does watch my videos. It's much appreciated. I hope you get something from this anyway. But for now, that's it. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.